Like Mr. Shah was saying, it is the fancy word, right? Sustainability is not the fancy only word. We are extensively using the green, organic, herbal, and the sustain, right? All these are the marketing tools actually. And obviously we have to, our focus is like consumers and all, so we have to use this word. But when we talk about this, process, manufacturing process for any kind of like pulp molded fibers or something like that, we used to adopt some green methods that can be, what we call, give some point of, good points in terms of sustainability, like green chemicals or the green process, usage of, less water, all these kind of things we should adopt. And when we talk about the market, most of the market, when we see this molded fibers, that is for food packaging. Surprisingly, when we talk about the food packaging, because product we are directly consuming, most of the product gets failed at the level of certification. I am the member in BIS technical committee for food contact material. When we receive the samples and they claim that this is the food contact material and all, but most of the samples they get rejected because food and pharma is very sensitive cases. Even though you are using the plastic based straws and all, microplastic, someone in the morning they were saying microplastic, anyhow we are going consuming literally, doesn't matter you are having plastic based packaging or the paper based packaging. This is actually concern. So we need to adapt the material accordingly. And yeah, when we talk about such kind of molded pearls for different application like electronics or something, there is huge demand. And I'm going to discuss with my delegates or the speakers about these policies on how we can adopt such kind of commercial level aspects for particularly the mold fiber based packaging. I'm almost done. I'll just go through it and because it's yeah, thank you. So when we talk about the challenges, my team, they are already working on this. So I would like to hear from them. And as a packaging engineer, I would like to see what kind of future trends will be there, what kind of things that we can adopt during the process. And I believe that such companies, they will be, very what we call the examples for the new generation. And actually in my presentation, I am not sure what was the issue. It is not working. But anyways, I'd like to start my session that is on the disposable, that was on molded fiber for disposable food packaging. So when we talk about the disposable food packaging, I hope you remember, I'm from the, by the way, very small district that is Yavatmal from the Maharashtra. I remember my childhood days where we used to have, food in the palash leaves based kind of plates, you can say the plates. In the Marathi, they used to call the patravai. So, right. But now, with the help of machines and the molding machines, we are trying to advance into the different kind of, these things in the kind of giving the shape as a plate or something like that. This is very interesting. And this will be the, stay longer in the market. So I would like to hear from Shubham. I mean, Shubham is very young entrepreneur and CEO of company. And I believe that this is the need of, today's, because everyone is talking about the sustainability. So Shubham, when we talk about the, especially your company crashed, how your, especially you talked about during your presentation, agro waste is very, big challenge. How you convince with the farmers that, okay, this is the material that should not be burned and that should be utilized for particular application. How this is, because, so many times it's very tough to manage with, farmers. They do not, most of the time, they do not agree with that. So how you made it?
Thank you for the question. So let's understand first that why the farmers are burning the agricultural waste. right? Because there are so many solutions which are possible out of this rich biomass. One of the major reason is that farmers are not incentivized, right? And they get a very short window, especially in Punjab and Haryana, to manage the straw. So if they have to use machinery, they have to pay for it. If they have to clear their fields manually, it's another cost, plus it's time consuming. But right now, if you look at the economics, the matchbox, which is just, for a rupee, is the fastest and the easiest way for the farmers to clear out
Right.
their fields. And that is the challenge that, we have to solve. So when I started working for Crast a couple of years back, we started looking into high value added applications, which allows us to give decent profits to the farmers so that they don't see it as a waste anymore, but they see it as a wealth. And the minute you do that, they won't burn the crop residue. And that's something that we have been able to demonstrate in our city Morena, where we have set up our first production, where farmers have been able to shift from the practice of burning the agricultural waste. So far, we have disbursed around 4 lakh rupees to these farmers, which is going into their pockets. And once again, when you show them the value, they automatically get convinced. In fact, I would want to share one short story also. We were presenting at the National Krishi Mela in New Delhi at Pragati Maidan. So our objective was that, we'll get the crop residue from the farmers, we create a farmers network. But the response that we got from the farmers after they saw our products, they were like, oh, rice straw से ये भी हो सकता है, पराली से ये भी बन सकता है, ये भी हो सकता है, ये दोने पत्तल भी बन सकते हैं, हमें तो फैक्ट्री लगवा कर दे दो. So a lot of farmers showed interest, to get into manufacturing and adopt our micro factory concept.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, because this is, very interesting. Because most of the young generation, they think about, okay, this is the waste, so why we cannot utilize this, in different stuff, like for example, pattar, yeah, whatever bowl we can say, all these stuffs. But next is like my question is, excuse me. So yeah, my question is to you, ma'am. Like when young generation like Shubham, they come up with you or they contact your company that okay, we need such kind of machine or such kind of equipment because EcoSure is a pioneer company in the pulp molding fiber. So how you deal with this concept? Do you need to adopt something new technology or something you work on the whatever the requirement or whatever the material they are having such kind of? So I would like to hear from you on that.
Thank you so much. When we started in 2019, obviously, we were also beginners. Before that, EcoSure was trading machines. And when we got into manufacturing machines on ourselves, we definitely didn't know or were still getting learned about it that, okay, in the same concept, we can use every agro waste that can be converted into pulp or
Right.
anything that has cellulosic fiber can be converted into pulp and can be used in the machines. So initially, obviously, as we all know, bagasse is the most popular pulp available
Right.
in the country. But later on, when we got into exploring the situation, like Shubham said, obviously, parali jalana, Punjab ki sabse, I think everybody in the North India is affected with that. So we ourselves went to Punjab, we got in touch with the government.
Okay.
We made them understand that aap isse pulp bana sakte hain, like he's already got into it. Similarly, we also visited Thailand, where we got in touch with a team who's already working on to rice straw. Similarly, today, wheat straw is also becoming very popular. So we are very openly collaborating with pulp makers and in fact telling our buyers that, okay, it is just not bagasse. क्योंकि क्या होता है वो आते हैं the first question that a client has to me is बगास नहीं मिला तो
Right.
पेपर
Yeah.
मिल कभी भी बंद कर देती है पेपर बनने
Exactly.
लग जाता है पल्प बंद हो जाता है तो फिर ये चीज़ है कि it is just not bagasse. You still have rice straw, you have wheat straw. And if you see in the southern part of India, people are working on numerous cellulosic fiber. People are talking about banana, they're talking about pineapple leaf pulp. So there is huge collaborative options in this field.
Right. Yeah. Actually, when I started working in Uttarakhand state, where the pine needles is the biggest issue, especially in the summer, where jungle fires and all this will be the issue. So I started working on the pine needles, and we developed some kind of disposable item from that. But again, when we visited the companies and the manufacturer, they were like, okay, we are having like traditional, manufacturing process. So I'm not sure whether, because in the pine needle, lignin content is high, or for example, Shubham is working in that area, like rice straw, wheat straw, silica is the biggest issue. So yeah, this kind of challenges, especially when the concept is new, it will take time, right? I mean, most of the time people ask about the cost and all does of things. But when we talk about the consumer point of view, we have to invest on that. Otherwise, I always say, अभी हम नमामि गंगे प्रोजेक्ट कर रहे हैं, वो दिन दूर नहीं जब हम नमामि समुद्रम भी करना पड़ेगा, है ना? So we have to think about, So the question aligned with that, because lots of the young generation can inspire from your project. Do you have any kind of story that can be shed light on, like how you particularly, not in terms of the sustainability but also economically, you got the benefit from such kind of concept? I'm sure young generation will definitely inspire from such kind of concepts.
Is it for me or
Yeah, for Shubham.
Okay.
Yeah.
We all are young. So I started my journey from a non-profit back in 2011 when I was just 19. So I'm not like, I look young still. And so I was very passionate about social projects. So spent almost 12 years in the development sector. At the same time, I was a very proud chemical engineer. I thought I could use my research skills. But one thing was missing, a kind of a financial sustainability. So at Crast, I found a model. So we call it, there's a concept in this book, Good to Great. It's called as the hedgehog concept, where there is, a triangle, where one side of the triangle is about do something which you are very passionate about. Another side of the triangle is about what you are really good at. And then the third thing is about something which can give you bread and butter. So at Crast, I was able to find that particular model which can help, it's a financially sustainable model. At the same time, it has a great social and an environmental impact. So it's a social enterprise, basically. So that's the perfect, it's like, like you have found a work with a purpose. So what we are doing right now with Crast is that, of course, there is a benefit to entrepreneurs. The micro factories that we are setting up, we are targeting and making village level entrepreneurs who can also benefit and earn secondary income. Right from managing the supply chain in the rural areas of the crop residue, and also farmers and farmers group who can run such micro factories. So that's the economic advantage that we are giving to the entrepreneurs. And of course, as you rightly said that if you look into the pulp which is available in the molded industry is bagasse and is very volatile right now. So the market is also getting an economic advantage where we are turning an environmental problem into an economic opportunity. And just to give another number here, which I had presented in my presentation, just by purchasing the crop residue, we are helping farmer increase their income by more than 40% per acre.
Wow. That's
so imagine if such micro factories are set up everywhere, the amount of impact it can do to improve the rural economy in the country. After all, we say that 60% of India lives in the villages. We need to have solutions which also focuses on their livelihoods.
Right. I'm very sure that though it is now startup, but in coming years, definitely if there is a different manufacturing units, so it will impact huge on the societal benefits. And as Shubham mentioned that generation of the the jobs and all this will definitely help. Similar question I would like to hear from Kritika as well. Company name is the EcoSure, and I'm sure, yeah. So I'm sure she make always sure that she's working for the eco-friendly or ecological things. Kritika, do you have any stories similar like, the Shubham, that, some company asked you to, work on particular project and you had made something, different, and you feel that, okay, this is what, I have to make for as a brand, EcoSure. So do you have any story?
See, setting up 36, 37 plants, every factory has been a story for us.
Yeah.
But then particularly talking about plant, I would say, EcoShore till date has supplied more than 250 semi-automatic machines, which is one of our range and one of its kind, and we have the maximum sold machines. But then we were in collaboration and in touch with Setia Industries Limited. It is a paper industry,
Yeah.
again, listed company from Punjab.
Punjab.
And we understood they had machines from China. They had 2 machines in the factory from China, which for some reason couldn't run. And when we sat with them, we definitely went with the concept that, okay, we are here to sell semi-automatic machines. But after understanding them and then the situation that they had, and that the paper unit had huge manpower there, they were more keen on automatic machines. I
Right.
think it took 6 months for us to come over and create an automatic machine, but then we've successfully delivered 2 fully automatic machines with 4 molds to
Wow.
Setia Industry Limited, which is running from the past 3 weeks constantly. And
Yeah,
this
Setia is big name in the paper
yes,
and
and
packaging.
so this is one of the biggest success stories that we have
Yeah,
as
I
of
know.
now.
Very nice, very nice. Yeah, this is very important because most of the time when we talk about the new technology adoption, we need technical support, and that support, like I believe that companies like EcoSure, they are doing great job in this industry. So aligned to this question, when we talk about the raw material, I'm coming on that part. Like you said, okay, no, we are not. I mean, they are focusing on the bagasse, but I'm from rice straw or pine needles or something else. When we talk about the any kind of manufacturing process, the first question is like availability of the material, raw material. Shubham, your company is focusing on rice straw or the wheat straw particularly?
So we mainly focus on rice straw because
Rice
that's
straw.
what is being burned.
And that is because in your place, I mean the major crop?
Yeah, so it's one of the major crops also.
Okay, okay. So when we talk about such kind of like availability of material, how about if we consider like, do you have any plan to consider broad way like different like bagasse or rice straw, wheat straw or different material? Obviously, property matters like cellulose content and all things. So do you have any plan to expand in that way as well, apart from rice straw?
So we have worked on varieties of raw materials because we also wanted to de-risk our supply chain, and at the same time, decrease our expenditure on the storage. So for one season we use one crop, for another season we use another crop. So far we have researched on variety of raw materials.
Right.
And one of the reasons why we research is because a lot of MNCs have approached us. For example, Nestle came to us saying that, hey, can you make sheets out of wheat straw, because they have certain products which are using wheat as a food ingredient. So it's a circular packaging concept. And as I said, for the AB InBev, they make beer out of barley. So they said, can you make something out of barley? So we did research on barley and we made a packaging out of it. And so wheat, mustard, millets, bajra, we have worked with variety of raw materials, except we have not touched upon bagasse for paper because already a lot of work is already happened on bagasse. Plus, we are very cost conscious when it comes to affordability of sustainable packaging. So 50% of bagasse gets lost because it has pith.
Yes.
Plus, with fragile grasses like rice, wheat, or bajra, we are able to use 100% of the crop material. There is no pith in that. That's an added advantage in terms of the production yield. So that's how we have, we are very versatile in terms of different raw materials. Talking about the properties, so we follow industrial packaging standards that itna minimum BF hona chahiye, and all these agricultural grasses are able to meet those standards.
Right. Yeah, because it's very important when we talk about different kind of challenges that we occur initial stage, and like you said, like use of barley, and I mean depend on what kind of material we are having, and that we should utilize, or that we can utilize for the such kind of technology. So my question is, like, next question is for Kritika. How does, especially when we talk about the ensure approach for challenging the scalability, in particularly implementing the molded solutions, and especially when we talk about the large scale contact for food packaging, applications, or food disposable packaging application, how do you see that scalability?
This is still a sector which has to be looked into.
Right.
Understanding that having something leak-proof and having deeper products for packaging or for distribution or for deliveries is something which is very, very important. That still this, our side of industry at least, when I talk about pulp molded fiber, because the popularity is more on plates and other
Right.
tableware that we talk about, but then we understand, we see as a person, if I am ordering something from Swiggy, maximum of it is coming in plastic. But when we see, when we understand that, okay, there is still problem with leak-proof molds or lids, we are now seeing into portions, we are now trying to develop a machine which can have deeper molds.
Okay.
You can make deeper products. And we're also getting in touch with companies who are making additives. Obviously, our products need additives, both water and oil. But then we are looking into something which can hold the oil up to more than, say, 160 minutes. So this is a section which we are still working
Focusing
on.
on
And this
that.
should take another 3 to 6 months that we are looking into, because the molds would take time. The acceptance in the market will take time.
That's
People still
important.
want plastic and proper lidded food so that it doesn't spill out.
Yep.
So looking into something spill-free will take some time.
Yeah, this is very important, because how consumer, adapt that whatever the technology they are developing. See, when we talk about sustainability or such kind of new product, the problem is, when there is a cost, obviously, people don't want to pay much more on that. For example, like Pakka is manufacturing in this, like paper, fiber, molded pulps and all these things, the tableware especially. The cost is very high when we talk about that. But I think when we talk about on large platform or large scale, the cost can be, reduced. Obviously, UP is like Ganna belt we call, and the raw availability of raw material is not that, issue. Now in the next segment, I would like to focus on very serious concern from consumer point of view and the regulating authority point of view. Shubham, you are in the manufacturing segment, especially when we talk about the disposable food packaging segment. How you see the guidelines? Because I am also the member of BIS, so sometimes we are very strict because it's a matter of food. How you see this regulation, and how you tackle with your manufacturing process? How you set up? Okay, this product can be passed for particular regulation. How do you see on that?
So one of the current challenges right now in this segment is, of course, like what you also touch upon, is making it leak proof. And then in order to make that, we have to use certain additives. Currently, the industry, what we are getting into the market, they are using PFAS. And that's a very big problem, because it's also carcinogenic. Of course, there is a limitation set by the European standards. But then the question is that we're talking about India, and then are people following those regulations or not? So that's a very big challenge. And what it also means is, when there are challenges, it's also a big research problem and an opportunity for researchers to work on and create more sustainable additives. So for example, today Neha from Zero Circle, she spoke about different coatings and films. So we need such more entrepreneurs who can come into this segment and help solve some of the gaps, especially the technological gaps which are still yet to be addressed. Second thing, from the regulations point of view, and that I would want to highlight, is mainly I want to talk about the ban on the single-use plastic, because cutleries were one of the items which were listed when the government announced the ban on July 22. So though the guidelines are there, but the enforceability is still something which the government has to come into the picture and take care of. And here, government can play a very important role because when we talk about business, people can come and talk about environment, CO2 emissions, but by the end of the day, the industry runs on number. That's one hard truth that I've realized.
Right.
Not every industry is as passionate about the planet as compared to the profit. Uh, so when government lays down certain regulations and policies, it allows for innovation to come up, and that's super important. But at the same time, as I was saying, enforcement is also very important.
Okay. Just one question following on the same platform. Do you guys do some R&D as well, like research on particular product or something like that in your team?
So
R&D?
we are a R&D oriented company. R&D is the core to what we do. The products that are there, it has almost taken around 6 to 7 years. I've spent decent time in the lab. Though it's, you can look it for 2 seconds, but the जो मेहनत लगी है उसके पीछे वो 6 से 7 साल की लगी हुई है.
Right.
And we also help, as I was saying, we also help multinational companies who have specific problems. They come to us with their packaging requirements and we do the research for them. एक example और लूँगा Stanley Black and Decker US का. They have this measuring tape product which comes in a single-use plastic casing and then they put it up in Walmart in the US. तो उनके लिए हमने एक molded packaging solution हमने बनाया है. So likewise there are so और उसके ऊपर भी हम लोग एक patent file कर रहे हैं.
Okay.
So likewise we do a lot of research for different companies also.
Yeah, because why I'm asking this question, because 2-3 years back, I was working on the concept, because see, if you see the reality, in India, we are using extensive amount of pesticides in the case of like farming or, crops. Similarly for sugar cane or the sugar, what we call the rice straw or the wheat straw. When we develop the packages for that, and obviously my field is food packaging, so we tested, is there any pesticides residue in my package? So almost all package or sample got failed because pesticides content or the residue will remain in your package. So that is the reason why when there is always food packaging, I always concern whether I'm having, okay, sometime microplastic is okay, but how about you are having some, pesticides or something? So that is what, my concern.
We can share some results. We have already worked on that. I can also share a test report with that.
Okay. So you do.
That's not a concern.
Okay. You do kind of processing or something like that?
It depends on how you treat the raw material.
Okay.
And also there have been certain bans on certain harmful pesticides क्योंकि वो राइस हम खा भी रहे हैं.
Exactly.
है ना, ये तो हम पैकेजिंग की बात कर रहे हैं. वो राइस या वीट का क्या जिसकी रोटी बन रही है.
Yeah.
So ये पैकेजिंग तो बहुत बाद में आ रहा है.
No, yeah,
तो
actually.
गवर्नमेंट ने उस पर भी काफी
Because
restrictions
most
लगाए
of
हैं
the
अभी.
time, when we talk about the sophisticated technology like FTIR or sometimes TG or something like that, then that minute part, because I'm basically researcher, so whenever we used to find out this kind of concept, so in fact, Department of Science and Technology has already offered one project and we are working on that. So that was my concern. And it's good to know that like startup, your startup is, good enough to tackle this situation, which is very, concern for that. So Kritika, I'm coming on to the government policies, especially when we talk about small scale industry or like Gruha Udyog, for example, in small village. How do you see the government policy? Because their automation cannot be, there will automation cannot work because it's very high cost, and Gruha Udyog, they need a low cost technique or technology. So how do you see or how you tackle when such kind of government initiatives comes in, especially in the manufacturing process?
You know what happens when we're talking about manufacturing units? It is business. Somebody is setting up a factory. Somebody is putting in 15-20 crores to set up a factory.
Right.
And like you mentioned, Uttarakhand, the government in Uttarakhand has been extremely supportive.
True.
The type of subsidies that they have given to, in fact, we see the maximum factories coming now would be in the Uttarakhand belt. And second to it, today if we talk about North India, the biggest factory in North India is in Uttarakhand. It's in Rudrapur Kicha.
Okay.
So, and just adding on to it, the second problem is the government was very, very strong about it in 2022 that, okay, plastic is banned. And the last year, we've seen only plastic everywhere. You know, so now there is a new talk कि अच्छा इस साल government दोबारा आएगी, दोबारा plastic ban होगा, दोबारा फैक्ट्रियाँ बिकेंगी, फिर दोबारा sustainable product बनाए जाएंगे. That is the concept. You know, what comes in is ethics. You can train somebody, you can educate somebody, the buyer can have lots and lots of finances. But until and unless there is ethics,
Yeah.
you can't run a manufacturing unit with proper production that they should be doing.
True, true. Kritika, do you see any like change after, especially when we talk about after COVID, there is a high demand for such kind of molded based packaging?
You know, I was
machinery?
myself setting up a factory during the COVID time. In
Okay.
2021, we were in Jalandhar setting up our Jalandhar factory. And yes, we did see,
Yeah.
not only say after COVID, even during COVID, people understood because obviously maids were not coming home. People wanted to use this product. Paper plates were not extensively available in the market because obviously that is a regular production. So during COVID and post-COVID, people did realize, in fact, if I talk about the tableware, it is now becoming a part of daily life also.
Yes.
Ladies who have kitty parties or there are functions or there are birthday parties, people have understood that, okay, you still have an option of tableware that doesn't need a maid to wash it.
Right. That is
So-
what important is.
No, so you're saving on to water,
Yes,
you're saving on
absolutely,
to
absolutely.
detergents.
Yes.
But again, these savings are very small.
Right.
But then, yes, after COVID, we have seen demand.
The
In
demand.
fact, from 2022 to 2023, my sales head is sitting here, Bhupinder. I think he has closed more than 6 projects.
Oh, okay.
Entire Gujarat was with him. And then we then saw a little bit of downfall in 2023 mid. We're expecting another high rack coming in this year. Let's see.
Yeah, I hope there will be no high demand, because when we talk about writing paper, it is going to be vanished because of technology. Not completely vanished, but up to certain amount or up to certain percentage. But demand for the paper-based packaging will be high because of these e-commerce company or catering industry and all these things. So my next question is to Shubham. Shubham, as a startup in this particular area, sustainable packaging, if I ask you, or if I want to deliver to young generation, what are the main 3 challenges you faced during this, whole journey?
Challenges, though, there have been many.
if like mota teen.
So the first challenge was, technology.
Uh-huh.
Because a lot of people have worked on rice straw as a feedstock. And as I said, we spent couple of years, and we also had to make sure that we have sufficient funds,
Right.
to carry out on research and development. So that was one of the biggest initial challenges, I would say, that we had. Second is team, and it's a major challenge for any startup, especially early stage startup, because you are new, you are early. You also want people who are able to resonate with your idea and your purpose, right? And finding those team members is very important. And in our case, we are working in Morena, which is known for dacoits. It's in Chambal, and getting people from Bangalore, Mumbai to Morena
Yes,
was a
that's
nightmare.
true. That's true. Yeah, I'm fully agree with this, because most of my MTech student, after having the IIT degree, nobody wants to work in the place like, for example, Muraina or Paka is in Ayodhya. Everyone wants to go, like Noida, or for example the Bangalore. Doesn't matter how much traffic is there, But this is reality. This is reality, and nobody wants to go. So I completely agree with this challenge. Similar question to you, Kritika. Any challenges you faced, or that you need to work, or something like that you would like to share?
Like he said, challenges are many.
But key challenges?
You see, I think I would not say competition, because again, I think we've crossed that level of competition now. But yes, upgradation. If I see the machines that I made in 2019 and if I see the machine that I'm making in 2024,
Right.
they have got upgraded from one standard to another. So upgradation was something. Manpower, in our industry, because every time there's a new company who's getting into making machines,
Right.
They want to take back people from us or from anybody who's already been making machines. So that has been one challenge. And I think the last challenge is again the buyer. You know, it is not very easy to close a factory. Say you spoke today and tomorrow you have the advance. It takes at least 8 to 9 months to convince a buyer, and then there are 100 of things that a buyer thinks. So there are a lot of challenges at the buying end. I would
Right.
say.
So yeah, that's, and I mean, when we talk about the challenges, whenever we start new area, there is always, challenges, number of challenges in fact. But what we have to do is we have to focus on, product, their quality, and then how you deal with the market, because that is what the final, destination, the market. Uh, I believe that I covered almost all points, because yeah, I'm from the academia point of view. So I believe that there is always, collaboration between the academia and the industry, because that is what ultimately, research takes off. For example, if we develop any kind of technology, so the industry can scale up that technology, so that, whatever the product you can see, that actually we can, see in the market. So with these words, I would like to thanks to my panelist. And this area, is emerging area, and we can have, number of hours. I mean, that can be a less, obviously. But this is what the very important area. And I would like to really thankful to organizer, especially the Vitoba sir, to, push this area, which is very important. And you have seen from the morning session, everyone is talking about this area. That means there is a, very huge scope. Even when we talk about the cushioning material, for example, protective packaging, nowadays EPS is getting banned, and this paper-based cushioning material also can play very crucial role. So what I will say in my final concluding word: no material is bad, but we should reduce the material. Okay, we can reduce, but that doesn't mean that you can compromise with your property. For example, the bottles, the plastic bottles, whenever we open like this. Why we do not open like this? Because we feel that it can, water can, spint on your, shirt. That means the wall or the strength of the bottle is not good. And I will not take the name of that so-called high prestige brand. Whenever you open the bottle, it will, get buckle. Most of the brand. So reducing material is the good thing, but you should not, packaging should be convenience for the customer, not, terrible or horrifying experience for the customer. So I hope we should not open like that. We can open like this. So as a packaging engineer, we should not forget the main objective of the packaging, and sustainability is the new thing that we should definitely adopt. And the youngster like you, they are working very hard in this particular area. So I really feel happy that we covered this important topic in this conference. Thank you so much. So if you have any question, please go ahead. For panelists or for me.
Any questions?
Yeah.
For any project to be successful, the consistency, as I was speaking consistency during my presentation, is the keyword. So how consistent is the raw material supplies in this particular segment?
It is okay as of now. We did see a downfall in 2022, but then we've seen more factories coming up for pulp. Like, for example, obviously, like we said, Uttarakhand again is the richest when it comes to pulp. Century is there, Nani is there,
Right.
everybody is there. But now we've seen Quantum, who's got into pulp. Yashpaka again has been a great pulp provider. Then we see more of paper units like Sensen, Silverton, who's coming up with wheat straw. So I think pulp shouldn't be an issue.
Okay. And I think crust is already there.
We'll fill up the remainder of the gap.
A question for Shubham.
you mentioned about micro factories, but when it comes to a large brand, let's say Nestle or Target or retailers, they need huge volumes. How do you see this scaling up? And again, going back to the consistency, how do you maintain consistency between these micro factories?
So when we look into the final end product, so, and we have worked with Nestle, so it is good enough to supply around 10 lakh pieces a day. So that factory has that kind of capacity. And the beauty about such processes is that it can also be integrated with such MNCs. For example, Nestle has farms in Moga in Punjab, and if we set up an integrated pulping unit there itself, they will have a constant supply of packaging material. So we can also customize as per the requirement of these MNCs also.
Yeah.
Shubham, you said that micro pulping units. When I say micro, then definitely the investment has to be micro. Correct?
Far less than a conventional mill.
Yeah, because this bagasse pulp plant is not micro, it is mega. Correct? So here, biodegradability wise, I think both are equal, or yours might be a little bit better, I don't know technically. But then why such a big difference in the investment in pulp making plants?
I have to answer this. Honestly, a tableware unit is not that expensive as in a pulp mill. A pulp mill is more expensive. Yes. He has done it at a micro level. That's what, it's a 3-ton plant that we're talking about in his case. But then 3-ton plant cannot cater to the market. It is for himself or for the trials that he's doing, or to understand if he can go up to a 30-ton pulp mill. So that is where the difference is.
Capacity.
Yes, it will differ capacity-wise.
And one more thing I would want to say, like we can't compare our pulping process with the conventional one. The novelty in our process is that we do not use any digesters. Reason being, when we sat on this project on the very first day, when we did our research, we got to know that CPCB has a very, it has a red flag on these digesters and boilers. So whatever research we do, we knew that we have to avoid digestion and these digesters in this process. So we have designed a reactor. It's a very different technology. We call it a flow-through technology, which doesn't use any heat and give delignification. So we have been as Indians, we have been extremely frugal and cost conscious on designing our process. So the 3 tons per day plant that we have set up in Morena, the overall cost is 60 lakhs. That's it.
Wow. Okay. Any more question? Okay, I think there is no question. So due to time constraint, I think time is over. So
Yes, thank you so much to
thank
our
you.
moderator
Thank you so
and
much for
also our
listening, and thank you
panelists
for
over
your
here.
patience.
And now it's time for us to felicitate Professor Kirtiraj Gaikwad and also Kritika Tripathi over here. We will be felicitating both of them. And to felicitate Mr. Gaikwad, I would like to call on stage Mr. Ravinder Reddy, President of TOPA. तालियों से स्वागत करेंगे. Yes, of course. And to felicitate